Welcome back to Black Lotus Buds. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Michael. Thanks for joining us.
We're kicking off our 10th episode on the channel where we're talking all things trading cards. And Michael, I know it's been a wonderful start to the year. How are things with you?
Things are great, man. Things are looking up. Enjoying my hobbies. Enjoying my professional life. Enjoying my gaming life. It's all good, man.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully your New Year's has been just as awesome.
Yeah, it's been a good start. And I'm really excited to jump into pack openings this year and rip open some fun cards. I got a little taste of some just the other day. Finally ended up buying an entire box of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which is a really cool set that we mentioned previously with dinosaurs, bats, and caves. There's like artifact creatures. It's a pretty cool assortment. Not a tremendous amount of amazing cards in there, but the cards that are good, I've actually embedded many of them into my decks. So I just had to pick this box to rip open and see what I could get. So that's
you
been
get a whole
fun.
box?
Yeah, I split it in half with a buddy so that we could set up a couple draft rounds with some of them and then just have others just to rip open and just add to our collection without like playing with them right away.
Nice.
Yeah, and so far we've opened up 6 packs. We're going to play, I think it's called a limited style draft round where you can play draft 2 different ways. Everybody gets 3 packs, and then however many people are playing, you just take one card out and pass it to your left until there's no more cards in all the packs. That's one way, and that's usually like the normal way of drafting, but you can also draft by opening up 6 packs yourself and then making just a regular 40-card deck out of those cards only. You can also, as always, like throw in lands from somewhere else, but like just basic lands. You can't throw in crazy rare or whatever other type of land. But then just playing with those cards, so that you can come up with a couple different ideas, and you can even have like a red and a green deck, as well as like a black and a white from those 60 cards. So you could make a couple different 2-colored decks if you have a lot to work with. But it really kind of depends on what are those rares, what are the mythics that you've pulled open, and then how can you put together an idea that would have a winning strategy. And
Can you do that on Arena? Like do where you just open cards and you make a deck out of them?
Yep. Yeah, it's called Quick Draft.
Man.
It's so much fun, man. It really is. But that's the way that I've played on Arena, Magic the Gathering Arena, is I have spent 0 money, and what I've done is you get gold by like completing daily quests. They're really easy to do. So that's kind of like the mindless way of farming gold. Once you get enough gold, you enter into these tournaments or these draft. Yeah, it's just a draft tournament. And you pull open cards. Those cards will ultimately be in your library, and you'll be able to have them and play with them in the future. But then you can only use those for that tournament. So it makes it really fun because you're going to be wanting to draft from like the most recent pack, the most recent set that just came out. Most importantly, in my mind, it's always to figure out what cards are good, and then if I really like a lot of these cards, I'll go ahead and buy a small box or a box of them, a couple packs. And Duskmorn
We'll have to do that sometime on Arena.
Oh yeah, I'm still like happy that you got in with Duskmorn. Actually, Bloomborough was your first set box in these recent years, right?
Yeah, that was my first like booster bundle, but I had gotten like random packs that I would just every once in a while, I just wanted to see other trading cards. I would just buy like a pack. So I had like a small stack of like I couldn't tell you what they were, but miscellaneous Magic the Gathering that I've just collected slowly over the. I mean, we're talking really small numbers here, but really getting back into it recently, it was Bloomborough.
Got it.
And then the Duskmorn. I still have half a box just looking at me over there.
And that's not the booster box for Duskmorn, right? That's the full 30, 30 packs or 36 packs of cards in there, right?
Yeah, it's a full box,
Yeah.
not like a booster bundle.
Cool. Yeah, there's so many cards when you rip those things open, and we were laughing. We're like, man, gosh, to think if when you were a kid to get a full box like that, you would have never
I
needed
know.
more. You would have never needed more cards in your life. You would have been like, all right, I'm set. Now we can go ahead and learn golf, do something different, and not actually be having the itch to keep coming back and getting a couple more packs.
So I won't really open again. I think I have 3 more videos, so it'll be like February when I start ripping packs again. But I'm most excited. I got this sorcery box. It's just staring at me, and honestly, it's because they do those really rare 1 out of every 40 boxes.
The curio
Like,
card stuff.
yeah, and I just want one. So I have that, like, I know I'm not gonna get one, but I have the excitement that, like, maybe I will.
Maybe
And
there's one sitting there.
right? That's what I'm saying. It could be right there right now. But Sorcery, they're coming out with another set next year. I don't know the time frame. But I'm looking forward to it. I actually really enjoy their release schedule being so relaxed. Like it just fits in well with my overambitious need to taste every card game. But the new one is called Gothic. So I think I'm gonna like it a little better than the Arthurian Legends. So the first sorcery set was like, wizards and magic and traditional kind of magic fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And Arthurian Legends was like knights and King Arthur, and like it was weird. Like one was called Just a Rock, and it was like this medieval looking dude looking at this rock on a pedestal, but that was the theme, and it was like okay, but I liked the original better. And for Gothic, they had like some card, it was just like a skeleton knight. And I was just like, yes, like bring me some darker, like more evil magic. That's what I'm envisioning. I don't know if that's what it will be, um, but I guess we'll see when it comes out. There's also in I guess it'll be a week from now, a couple weeks. Pokemon comes out with Scarlet and Violet Prismatic Evolutions, and I think we had talked about it before, but I took a look again at those cards because I don't really, man, I don't follow that as well. I just kind of I'm so casual with it. A new set comes out, I just get it.
Yep.
But I looked at these and I realized there are a lot of Eevees. There's a Pikachu. There's like a Lugia card. There's all this like kind of like hype cards for Pokemon, and one of them is an Umbreon, and it's mimicking this Umbreon VMAX from a set called Evolving Skies from just a few years ago. That, I mean, even now, it sells for $2,000 in a gem mint, a PSA 10. And it's like,
Jeez.
the hype was so real for this. And I wonder, they basically, Prismatic Evolutions shows like a lot of the Pokemon in this crystal form. I don't know if that's like a real thing in the show, like that's like they're on a crystal island or a crystal dream. I don't know, but like that's how the art is on all the cards. And bro, I wonder if this Eevee card. So the Umbreon is like it's a really pretty scene of an Umbreon on a roof with like this green background of the sky and the moon, and the Umbreon's like pawing at the moon, I think. And it's a beautiful looking car. And so this next one isn't quite as gorgeous. It's like a crystalline Umbreon in front of a moon, but I'm wondering if the hype alone from the old card is going to propel that one into high prices in the very beginning.
Wow.
But I mean, I looked at the set, a lot of crazy art style, like this weird mosaic cave art kind of style.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain, and then some weird trippy like full art cards that look really good. But I'm excited for that too, man. Hopefully I'll be able to get a set. I might pre-order it, so I'll be opening them. I kind of open things out of the hype, but with Pokemon, sometimes you got to get it like ahead of time.
Yeah. That Skeleton Knight does kind of remind me of like a more popular card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and this was one that I actually pulled from those 6 packs just
Would
the
you
other
look
day.
that card up?
No, I haven't looked it up. The one that you said, but it reminds me of this one in a way.
Oh, well.
This card in Magic, it's called Corpses of the Lost, and it's just like an OP card for skeletons, like a skeleton deck. It's an enchantment where I'll just read this card. It says skeletons you control get +1/+0 and have haste, so that's already spectacular. When Corpses of the Lost enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature token. And then the last ability of this card is at the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, you may pay 1 life. If you do, return Corpses of the Lost to its owner's hand. So you could almost indefinitely be getting this card on the battlefield, creating that skeleton. It has haste, it can attack right away. Then you can descend, which is just putting any card, get any card into your graveyard, into your yard during your turn. I don't even know if it has to be during your turn. It might just be anytime. Yeah, actually, it is anytime. It's you descended if a permanent card was put into your graveyard from anywhere. So when that happens, you could just pull this guy back if it was during your turn, but before your end step, as that last ability was. And then have fun getting these skeletons out there that are, again, like not super menacing at 2/2 on their own. But then when they get beefed up with the card itself to make them 3/2s, and you have 4 of those 3/2 creatures out there, that's 12 damage. That could do some damage to your opponent.
Well, I'm gonna just piggyback right off your theme here. Like, so that art style, it's very, and this seems off topic, but it's not. In Path of Exile, there's a unique helm I just found. It is the helm, the Vile Knight, and I also wrote down its mechanics to talk about.
Oh, sick.
I figure you'll appreciate this because like when you talk about a card, like when I look at the Corpses of the Lost, I see the art first in this like this
Impaled
gothic
skeleton
style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see the mechanics and the workings of the card. So there's the Vile Knight in PoE2. I just found this today, and I could care less about it, but I bet you will think it's awesome. It says deal 4% increased damage with hits to rare or unique enemies for each second they've been in your presence, up to 200%.
Whoa.
So just hanging out with them, your damage ticks up 4% every second.
Jeez, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then it
It's
caps at
yeah, I guess at 200%.
200%. My gosh. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
I don't
Path
know,
of
it always
Exile.
does. It did armor, and I don't mess with armor at all. But you do armor, so I mean, it did some other unique stats, but that was like what definitely made it the unique helm.
Yeah, there's going to be a wonderful exploring of those unique items in Path of Exile, just like we find when ripping open these packs looking for, mythic cards and stuff.
Now, how do you feel like, this is a crazy question, but I played a game called Elder Scrolls Online. I loved it. I'm like done with it. Now addicted to PoE2. But,
Oh yeah.
Well, specifically, in the game, there was a trading card game. And me being the, like, trading card enthusiast of all types, I'm still messing around in TCG Pocket and learning just even the app more. I figured out that you can actually click into the old pack style and get the Charizard pack, which I didn't realize, or I would have been opening this entire time. But I wasn't really into it in the game. It was kind of like, I like Arena, I like TCG Pocket, but when I want to play them, I go to those. When I'm playing Elder Scrolls Online, I don't want to be playing an online card game. And so it's like, I get that it's another layer of immersion, but it's kind of like, I feel like it didn't belong.
It's like a lesser...
I don't know.
It doesn't involve all your senses like playing the game does.
Well, how would you feel if in Path of Exile 2 they just added trading cards and it was like straight up you go to tavern and you have trading cards and you play, it's like Magic the Arena but in Path of Exile, and it's like,
Now, if by winning one of those card games embedded in the game, you would win rarity or, uniques or chance of a unique or something like that, or even gold, so you could respec your character more, that might be enticing. But you'd always have to compare it, in my mind, with if you're going to put time into the game, what are you getting out of the game? What do you enjoy with the game? And I don't see how there would be a strong, group of people to be wanting to play a card game embedded in the game that's already so spectacular. It doesn't really need additions to distract you from what you should be doing, which is killing those damn monsters.
in Elder Scrolls, you got, I think you got a couple different things, but the most of it was like cosmetic. So in that game, you could earn special dyes like colors, and all of your armor you could dye three different like tiers. So one would be like the base color, the second would be an accent color, and the third would be another accent. They're like permanent layers, but you could change the entire color of each layer. So I think in that card game you could get some like dyes and stuff, but it wasn't enough. Because like anything you could really get in it, you could also get playing the game. And it was like,
Well, there you
there
go.
were so many better things to do in the game. Like you could go to there was like a MMO battlegrounds of like literally hundreds of people roaming around a giant battlefield trying to steal like the Elder Scrolls from each other and breaking down walls with catapults, and it's like, I'm gonna be in the tavern flipping cards. Now, it might be cool if like somehow they had a partnership and like I could just take a break from Path of Exile and like earn some exalted orbs by just playing Magic the Gathering inside the game, but that would never happen. It's like I don't want a one-off weird TCG game in my video game. Although I will play a TCG video game, but
Yeah,
I don't
if you
know
know
where
what
the
you're,
distinction is. But
it's like, it's just simply, I think, in your mind, it's like, if I'm gonna play this, I want, like, there's an expectation of entertainment, and if in a game there's another game, there's like suspicions of why that's a thing. And I guess this is all hypothetical since this isn't really out there. People are going to be like, all right, how do I find this trading card game embedded in Path of Exile? Or maybe they'll hear this and they'll go, yeah, wow, we have an audience who would do this. Let's jump on board. It does make me think though, from Diablo
it's like
2.
I'm just picturing one person downloading Elder Scrolls right now. Like they heard that
They're
and
like,
then they don't
okay.
care anything about Skyrim. They're just like, I want to play this TCG.
Gosh, well,
I feel
from
like
Diablo, I used to
some
play.
people do.
I used
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
I used to literally go into, gosh, what were they like? Chat rooms, clan chat rooms, where there'd be a bot that was running the clan, and letting you know when the bell runs were happening or whatever. And other than that, the bot would just be throwing out trivia questions, trying to see who's going to answer them. I
Now
would have
listen, I
so
love those
much
bots.
fun. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun beating. They would put other bots in there to try to beat you, and this was probably like they weren't actual bots that now people think of when they think of like an AI bot. Of course, it today you'd have no chance against these, but back then it was fun to just inherently think that you're actually beating this like computer in knowing the answer because you're quicker at typing or something. It was just it was a lot of fun. I
Dude, I
love the
used to love
trivia.
those bots. They would save your scores and they would like, post a hierarchy of who had the most points, and but in that game, the most efficient bail runs, like how you earned experience and got some good end game gear, it would fill up really quickly, but you didn't want to go look for a different run if you found a really efficient one. So you would just sit there and wait in the little trivia area. I
Yep.
wouldn't, dude. I would go into a tavern in Path of Exile and if you click inside of it, it's just like a bartender doing trivia with other players. I would totally sit there and do that same thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, the other day while I was playing Path of Exile, I was looking around. There was one map where there looked like there was a little, just like you named it, some sort of like a little inn you could step in and sit down at a little, like bar or table. But of course, it was just like a very well looking part of the map that you just couldn't actually like walk into. But it had me thinking of all the towns from D2, where you'd go, especially like Act 2, going into some of those areas in town. And I just made me remember of like, okay, I had fun, like the way that they designed the game and the experience when there were no monsters around.
You should do like a my buddy wanted me to do one, but it was like several $1,000s, and then I didn't have the attire for it, and he proposed that I should just be a peasant. And it was like a realistic Viking experience, but basically everything was real. You like turned in your phone, so you had no phone and you like reenacted stuff. But I was like, why would I spend several $1,000s to pretend to be a peasant for a week? Like if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go hard and buy like, like full attire. Like I'm not gonna be a fantasy peasant. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. That was a hit and a miss. But I'm sure there's other things that aren't like that. That was like some specific event. But I feel like you would enjoy that. Like what do they call it? Like a Ren fair, Renaissance fair?
Oh my gosh, they have them where I live, and they're big, they're huge. I got called out, of course, like waiting in line the last time, and there were people like talking to you as if you're like, literally like as if you're a peasant. What are you doing here? Like, oh, are we sure we want your kind coming into these ramparts? It's like, okay, why did I just get singled out with these 200 other strangers around me? But no, it was good. It was a good time.
Maybe were you not dressed up? They were probably teasing you for being.
That very well might have been part of it.
Yeah.
And I think I had like a beard, so they probably were trying to, decide if I could be an addition to their. I don't know, but it was good stuff. It was a lot of fun, and probably gonna go back this season when it reopens, which it might already be. But yeah,
the Ren Fair, it sounds pretty fun.
They're enjoyable, get out there and even for a few days and just, get a big old chicken leg or something and work on it while you're getting.
Shoot, you go to the Ren Fair with several thousand and you can buy all the stuff you want there. You leave a king.
There you go. Yeah. They had really cool handmade mugs. But then they were like so nice. These like wooden cups where I'm thinking there's no chance I'd want to put a liquid into this and over time slowly deteriorate and ruin it. It would just literally be for show, and it's not worth that price point for me to just put it on a shelf and then leave it there.
I really want some steins. I have like a Wild Bill's stein. It's like a craft beverage company that they go to Ren fairs and they go to Comic Cons but I have this weird like tendency to not like branded things. Like I don't know, like with mugs and stuff, I would rather just have a glass mug than a mug that said Starbucks. I don't know why. It's like I don't know if it's like modern fashion. It like disturbs my sensibilities to some regard. I would love to get me a nice like wooden stein or a metal stein that was just decorative or fantasy from like a Ren fair or something like that.
Well, put some money aside, and I'm sure there'll be one out where you are. There's a lot of the culture of that type of thing out there, right?
Yeah, no, they do that near us too. They got a lot of that stuff. It's fun to know that there are other people that are just into this same kind of genre.
Yeah. Here, I want you to pull up a card if you've got your internet nearby.
I do. I've been playing Path of Exile this whole time. No,
I want you to get off your typewriter and walk on over to your computer, Michael.
Roger that.
All right. The card name is Poison Dart Frog. This one is also from Ixalan, or LCI is the card like abbreviation for the Lost Caverns. And I just look up the regular card. That's the one
He's
that
so cute,
isn't he?
and he's on like a skull, like the jaw of a skull, and the other part is in the background. But he's so cute.
Yeah,
And it's like grimness and cuteness all infused into one little card.
Yeah, you don't even notice how deathly he is until you realize he's just sitting on that human jaw skull bone.
Oh, and he has death touch.
Oh yeah, well that's the that's why that cuteness has a little bit of taintedness to it.
Look at those eyes. They don't look like they would kill you.
Well, he has the ability. You know, his ability is that he may kill you with the death touch, but he doesn't need to do that.
Wait, you said look at the non-full art. Does that mean the full art is looking like fine?
Oh, if you're looking at the full art, it's probably just more of the same of this. It's not. I wouldn't think it's an actual different image, unless, gosh, again, I'm terrible with the
Is
names
there a word?
of these.
What's the word
alternate
for full art? Alternate.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's completely... No, I can't even find it for real.
Well, some of them, like Unstoppable Slasher, they're like very different. They're put in a whole new scene. But some of them might just be, which I do think a lot of them are. But anyway, I was just looking at the regular Poison Dart Frog card. Thought it was
What's that?
Thought,
you just enjoying it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all about it. All right, listen. I'm going to skip ahead on this, but unlike you, I haven't opened any card packs, so I'm going to open another one on air here, and I'm just going to skip to the rare and appreciate it. All right.
Give me some suspense. I want to hear Are you shredding it open right now? You already
Paradox Rift. I am. It's near the mic, so our viewers can hear it. You probably get kind of left out.
ASMR.
You get the audio later.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. All right, so I got the pack. Ooh, I see something shiny. I'm skipping to the reverse hollow. It's a trainer. Foul trainer. No, I'm just kidding. People love them, but I'm not into it. Honage, and then the rare one, it was a Frostlass EX. It's got 2 stars, so I guess it's twice as rare as a regular rare, but I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like it's crystally like the other ones are. Let's see
here.
There's no... I was going to read you like the flare text, but it doesn't really have any on this one. I think that's common for the EX cards.
What's the name again? If you could help me with the spelling.
Frostlass is Frostlass.
The autocorrect is like you meant frostless is what you meant.
So this is the Pokédex entry from Pokemon.com. It says, when it finds humans or Pokemon it likes, it freezes them and takes them into its chilly den, where they become decorations.
Oh my
interesting
goodness.
to note. Yeah, that was kind of horrific. Often the Pokédex entries are, but this one is a leaf version, so I guess it's a grass type. I don't know how any of this makes any sense anymore in the Pokemon world. And I don't even know, like, what is a Frostlass? Like, what physically is this? Or is it just its own Pokemon?
You know what? Doesn't it have, like, in that little bar underneath the picture of the Pokemon, doesn't it have, like, a little description? Or does it just list, like, the height and the weight, and that's it? And that's those stuff. It doesn't have, like, a little explanation of what it might be.
On a lot of cards it does, but not on this one. It has, like, EX rule, so EX they're worth 2 Pokemon if you knock them out, because they're more powerful. Oh, I did want to do this. I got distracted with being unable to describe this, but I always like to tell you the stats and blow your mind and build your knowledge on Pokemon stats here. This thing, it is worth 2 prizes if you knock it out. It has 250 HP. it has an ability called Evanescent. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is knocked out, flip a coin. If head, if heads, your opponent takes one fewer prize cards. That is a wild ability.
Whoa.
I would be so irritated at that. And then it has an attack. It only costs 2 water energy. It does 140 damage. See, this is like the power scaling I'm used to in the regular game. I've really appreciated, I guess, the limited power creep that's been in TCG Pocket, I guess, because there's only 2 sets. But it says this attack also does 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So, dude, that's enough to knock out most Pokemon, 140, for only 2 energy, and it starts hurting your bench. And if you knock it out, it's 50% chance you're only getting 1 prize instead of 2 for knocking out this monster. Insane.
So,
Ridiculous.
is it one that evolves from something?
Yeah, it's the evolution of Snorunt, which let me read you the Pokédex entry on this puppy. It just says the Ice-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 3. The Snow Hat Pokemon.
Snow Hat.
Yeah. So
Wow.
is that what it's supposed to be? That's gonna blow my mind right now. Snow Hat Pokemon.
Goodness.
I need more details on this.
Who
like
knew?
what I need to see a hat that looks like this in real life. Like I've never seen anyone wear something like this.
Yeah, and then let alone the hat just like take things away and hide them.
Yeah, can you
Goes to
imagine?
its lair.
You buy this hat and you're like, oh, it's a cute hat, and then it evolves and you're like, oh, this looks a little different, but I'm still your friend, and then it just takes your hand and it walks you outside to its icy cave. It's like, what?
It takes your hand. Oh gosh. That's when you'd have to reevaluate your decisions in life. Frostlass. Man, who knew it would make an appearance tonight? Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm actually sorry. Creepy Pokemon. Listeners, I'm so sorry for introducing you to this murderous Pokemon.
Let me turn the tables and introduce you to 2 more cards in Magic.
Excellent.
Because dun 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 dun, it's time for this one or that one. Which
I like
will
the
it be?
production value.
Yeah. So again, this is where we take the 2 Magic cards and we see which one is better in a competitive setting. Very much opinion based. And Michael, I'm going to ask you, do you like me just describing the cards, or should I be telling you to pull them up so you can look at it as I'm describing them?
Just describe it. I'll be on the same page as our listeners.
Okay.
Sometimes I look it up after, but
okay. Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to look it up at any time. I'm not gonna. There's nothing you're gonna see unless you're like looking at a form or whatever. But anyway, all right. So both of these cards are 2 mana, and they're from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and they're creatures. And I just wanted to pit them against each other because I wanted to hear your thoughts in a competitive setting. Which of these, of course, you find to be more capable of winning you the game. All right, so the first one we're going to go with is Deep Cavern Bat. I play with this card in my black deck, and I really enjoy him. And this is what this little guy does. He's a 1/1 flying creature with lifelink. So now that you've played the game a little bit, you no need for me to explain what that is. And then this is the ability. When Deep Cavern Bat enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it until Deep Cavern Bat leaves the battlefield. So, in a sense, you're able to, 1, see what your opponent has in their hand, and then 2, if they have a non-land in there, you can just remove it from the game until this bat were to leave the game. So somebody could exile your bat, somebody could kill the bat, your bat could, die in any way, and then of course that would just put the card back in the opponent's hand.
I did end up looking this card up. This is the ugliest bat I have ever seen. It's like dive bombing towards you with its mouth open so wide that its teeth, instead of facing like vertically, are like pointed towards you. Like both the lower and upper set of teeth. This is hideous.
This is how I think if you'd be in a cave and you'd hear the bats leaving in the middle of the night, I feel like this would be one of those nightmarish settings where if there's no lights, you're just assuming all the bats are
That's what your
scary.
fears imagine them are. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,001 or 1,000,001 of those guys running at flying at you.
Just flying
All
in
right.
with the frost lass in there.
Yeah, there you go. See which of those would win out of their lair. All right, so that deep cavern bat is this tonight, and that is going to be belligerent yearling. And belligerent yearling is a dinosaur. So that was a bat creature. This is a dinosaur creature. It's a 3/2, and it has trample. And belligerent yearling ability is whenever another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you may have belligerent yearling's base power become equal to that creature's power until end of turn. So, being that it has trample, if something were to block it, and this card have more power than the blocking creature's toughness, any extra damage would go to the player. So, of these two lighthearted creatures, which have you looked at belligerent yearling?
Yeah. I was gonna say it's like a cute little dinosaur, like a little tabletop T-Rex that has like feathers coming out of the top of its head, and like a little like chicken gizzard of feathers too, and little feathers on its little tiny T-Rex arms. But then in the background, and it's like on the head of either a stone statue or a mechanized dinosaur.
Perhaps a stone.
Yeah, I can't tell. And then there's some flying something very large in the background. He's super cute.
Oh, I see what you're
What
saying.
is
Like
trample?
maybe like a mechanized stone, like much larger dinosaur that
Yeah,
he could.
because it's like you see him in the background. I think he's on one.
Yep.
I can't tell if they're a vehicle or it's like a big stone statue. Because I'm also, the lore of this is just blowing my mind. Like, did the dinosaurs build can this thing talk like a human? I have no idea what's going on here.
Well, he's got just a little sprouting of feathers. Maybe he could blossom into something totally different. But with
Did you
trample,
see the
your
flare
question.
text? It says, "One day it will be as terrifying as it thinks it is." Oh, he's so cute.
Oh yeah. What was your question with trample though?
What does trample do?
So, with trample, I think the easiest way to explain it is pretty much just whatever power this creature has, and there's a creature blocking this creature. If the blocking creature's toughness is less than this creature's power, then the excess damage will go to the opponent, to their own life. So, for example, you have a 2/2 creature, and then you see your opponent drop this belligerent yearling.
Now, you made this tougher than usual. I feel like, although I did get the last one wrong.
Yeah, I was going to actually do a really in-depth, crazy one too tonight, and I figured this really did it kind of, I'll kind of bite my tongue here. It kind of exposes the gameplay style, so I wanted to hear your thoughts. Competitive play, which is better, this or that?
It's hard, but if I had to choose, and knowing as little as I do, I'm going with belligerent yearling, because I feel like it's just its base stats are better, but also I just feel like I can trap like I'd be able to somehow play a dinosaur, like have some sort of like sorcery where I could insta cast a dinosaur down. I don't know. I feel crafty with that one, and I feel like Deep Cavern Bat is like a minor inconvenience. But I'm gonna go with the little dinosaur. Plus he's cute. You know, if I'm wrong, at least I chose the cute one.
Well, I will say I'm gonna agree with you based off of your explanation, and this is kind of why.
Yes.
So, yeah, with Deep Cavern Bat, it is very much an inconvenience, and it's perhaps an amazing early game inconvenience that you can instill on your opponent because aside from grabbing whatever card you want out of their hand, pretty much, you're getting to look at every card in their hand early in the game. If you're gonna play Deep Cavern Bat on turn 2, right away, early game, you'll have an idea of what the next 3 or 4 or 5 turns might look like. Especially then knowing, okay, now I have a scope of what my opponent's like entire idea is being built around, and I may not know every card in their deck, but I can begin to speculate and kind of deduce what their strategy is and what might make it hard for them to gain a competitive advantage. So I love that card for just 2 mana. It can kind of lock up something. However, what you'll run into often is when you play this card early game, the only card you have to pull if you see it is a card that is going to be deals 3 damage or 2 damage to any creature, because whatever card you take, you don't want to just very next turn the opponent just now immediately target this bat, it dies, you don't get to use the life link at all, and now they just get their card back. So that's like the difficult part of playing this card, is like knowing that you can't just grab anything you want out of their hand. If they do have that kill creature card, you really need to just grab that so that they don't kill this bat or maybe another creature you have. But my belief in that the Belligerent Yearling is better is definitely because of the fact that it's just this not too intimidating creature. So your opponent really doesn't want to get rid of it right away because maybe you'll drop some crazy dinosaur like the 12/12 dinosaur or other ones that are out there. When in late game, Belligerent's still on the battlefield, and then when you have 7 mana or 13 mana, whatever crazy number you can get to, you then drop one or a couple crazy dinosaurs with a lot of power, and now Belligerent can instantly become a 13/2, something absolutely wild. And with Trample, that's usually going to be a game-winning scenario. Late game.
I gotta say, I really like this damn card. Like, because it is just so well crafted that it's like mechanic in the game matches the lore and flair text and art. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all.
Yeah.
Because it says one day it'll become as terrifying as it thinks it is. And it's like, when I read that earlier, I was just thinking of it in cute terms. But it's actually how the card actually plays in the game as well.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yep. And it's really been a card that has won me many games with my dinosaur deck. Namely because it's not legendary, right? It's only 2 mana anyway. So you can have 4 of these tucked into a normal, modern, standard deck. And if you have 2 or 3 of them out there, guess what? You drop a 6/6 dinosaur. All 3 of these belligerent little guys can now become a terribly menacing 6/2 with trample, each of them. It's not like one gets the ability and then the other ones now don't have that option. They all would trigger when a new dinosaur shows up on the battlefield under your control. So it's a really fun way of very, very quickly putting down a lot of trample damage that your opponent may or may not be able to defend. And if they do, yes, they might block and be able to handle, even kill these guys because they only have 2 life, 2 toughness. But you're then just wiping out whatever creatures are blocking them, right? Because you got to assume that there's not that many creatures they may have that are going to be able to take so much trample damage and survive. So, bravo, man. Yeah, it's a fun one. There's so many cool 2 mana cards in Magic. I obsess over the 2 and 3 mana cards because those are the decks. Those are the cards that build and create a deck. I mean, at the end of the day, you need quick paced cards to win you a game in standard play. In Commander, and I believe in Timeless is maybe one of those words that they're beginning to use. I think slower ramp up gameplays are very important, but if you're looking to just wipe your opponent out, these cards are going to do that in any given deck.
Yeah, that's more my style too.
Cool.
I like the bombardment deck because it was just suddenly just all hell broke loose.
Yeah, and easy to kind of follow along with and understand.
I like imagining that all of a sudden this little yearling is like he's big and bad. Like you're just facing 2 big bad dinosaurs and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, getting 2 of them out there is always fun because now your opponent's just like, well, what are you? They're like, what are you gonna drop? I probably want to destroy whatever you're gonna drop, then destroy both of these guys. But then that's the perfect problem you want your opponent to be facing. Do they early game get rid of this non-intimidating creature, or do they hold on to their destroy creature card and wait until finally your, let's call it a 6/6 dinosaur shows up, and then they say, yeah, we don't want that around any longer. We're going to kill that. But when it enters the battlefield, that will trigger Belligerent Yearling to become a 6/2 with trample. So again, just a fun way of playing the game, and a fun way of kind of getting that point in the game where all it takes is just a card you pull out of your hand to pretty much become like the game-winning card. Whatever it is, just has to be a high-power creature.
Well, and I will say, Path of Exile being on this computer in front of me has nothing to do with me asking this question, but of course not. Are you ready for our Are you ready for our final segment here?
Okay, now I know why. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell or laugh that loudly into the mic. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with it, man.
Nice. I mean, this is a little off topic, but it's fine. It'll give the listeners a view into the lives of 2 men working on a podcast. But I had literally written down like the topics we talked about last podcast, so I would know what to title it when I upload it, and I accidentally deleted it. I'm like looking at it, and so I started to hold Control Z because I'm like, maybe I can go back, and I realized that it's all in one document. So if I Control Z, I would erase my whole segment. So we might have lost, our title, but I'll rework another one. But anyway,
well, just don't Control Z on the podcast tonight, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the recording's good. It's just, we don't want to lose all the work for Sejum's satisfaction. And you're very close to real in life prizes. But let's see. Sejum's satisfaction, the game with points and prizes. It's time. So Kevin, you still have 865 points. Suffice to say, the mighty Jin Sejum is very pleased. The most pleased he's ever been, and very close to reaching maximum satisfaction.
Wow.
If you win and you satisfy him, you will get in real life prize. And again, I'll remind our listeners here today and you have the potential to win this prize today.
Holy moly.
So at the end, that's right, man. You just gotta get some of these, they're challenging, but you gotta get a couple right. And I will say that I'm not going to diminish the points any longer until the end of this prize. So there's no scaling here to make it more difficult. If you start knocking down some points and prizes, that genie is going to be pretty satisfied here.
But
at the end of
all right, let's do it.
Dude, you're going to be excited when you get your prize.
Well, I'm not going to be excited to relive where I am, but go ahead. Bring it back. Bring me back to where I am at.
Unfortunately, at the end of the last game, you were submerged in a pool of blood in a fantasy torture room of polar bears who were viciously tormenting these salmon humanoid creatures, and you are gripped by a polar bear by the ankle and being pulled underwater. Feeling the clamping of that bite around your leg and the viscous liquid around you, before you can even begin to panic, you open your eyes and you see you're underwater. And there's just a cute little baby crab gripping your leg. You still feel this strange liquid water all around you, and you have this refreshing sensation around your neck. As you go to touch it, you realize that you have gills, and you can breathe perfectly fine underwater. Kevin, tell everybody listening, what's it feel like to breathe underwater?
It's always been on my mind, and since I was a young, wee little boy with a 5-gallon bucket that my brother was standing on in the deep end of the pool, I was envisioning being a breathing creature underwater in that sense. So to finally upgrade to these gills, although they might be short-lived, I am relieved, in fact, and I am overjoyed. I'm at peace right now.
I'm glad. Who would have thought, man, that this far in life you get what you always wanted.
I got there, man.
Well,
it's beautiful.
That cute little crab, he's gonna pull you gently a few feet to the side, and your feet suddenly feel heavy and they land in the sand as if by magic. Your clothes are still flowing in the current of the waters. And in front of you, a clamshell opens up. And before you, on the clam, are 3 different figures. You feel the urge to grab one of the following. There's a beaver made out of diamond. There is a bloody voodoo doll in the shape of a tree. And there is a tomato carved from bone. Which figure will you choose?
I'm not a big fan of tomatoes, and that voodoo doll, you had me really freaking worried. I don't know if it was after the podcast last time, but you had me starting to regret my decisions of being so attached to that voodoo doll. So, knowing that and saying that, I'm going to go with the diamond teddy bear?
It's beaver, but that's close enough.
In my mind, he sounded so cuddly when the crab was just delicately, inching me along to play this game.
Diamond's hard to carve, so maybe it's a little teddy bear looking. Who knows? So you reach forward and you grab the beaver. Suddenly, the water starts swirling as if you're in a drain and a hole opens up in the ground. You flow into it and you land in a river and in this comfortable foliage, and there's this strange smell in the air, and as you look around you notice that there are these giant beavers, and they are just carving away at these giant trees, which you notice look like gigantic versions of cannabis. And the beavers are just working. Little lumberjack beavers, man. They got the plaid on and everything. Felling the trees. You see one rolling up some of the tree and smoking it like a cigarette. You are just baffled, and suddenly one of these lumberjack beavers walks right up to you and he goes, "Well, as you know, your good friend Michael purchased a PSA 10 card, and I've got some questions about the details of that." So, first 3 questions are all worth 25 points. Depending on how you answer the challenge question, these might be cut in half. But 25 points is pretty substantial towards winning your prize. The first is the same as always. What set was this PSA graded card from? Is it A, Pokemon, B, Magic the Gathering, C, One Piece, or D, Sorcery?
Well, I am going to go with B, Magic tonight.
The beaver looks unfazed. He just takes out a little piece of wood, starts gnawing it as if he's chewing dip. The answer was Pokemon. I got another Pokemon card. This time, I decided, it's getting harder. I don't know if maybe there was a PSA grading boom, and then it died down, but it's harder to find cool graded cards that I like. That's are all PSA 10. So sometimes I just get on there and I decide on what I like, and it happened to be Pokemon again. So this one's a Slow King EX. It is an ultra rare from, I believe it's like Palladian Fates. An English set here.
Okay.
And it's like crystalline. It's another one of these weird crystalline cards. Slow King, it's the evolution from Slowpoke. And fun fact, you can get it to evolve by trading it as long as your Slowpoke is holding a King's Rock. So this Slow King, it has 270 HP. It cannot be damaged while it's on the bench, as its special EX ability. It has 2 attacks. One requires 1 psychic energy, and the other requires 2 psychic energy, respectively, each having their own special effect. So they have effects addition into the base attack. The second effect, I'm not going to read to you, but the first effect for the first attack, it's 1 energy, Profound Knowledge, 30 points. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. For the second attack, Wise Headbutt. The question is, how much damage does it do? And the answers are A, 30, B, 40, C, 50, or D, 130.
What was C?
C was 50. And now, I will remind you, this is another one of, similar to earlier, it is what we pulled, a Pokemon EX. So if your opponent knocks this out, he gets 2 prizes.
Okay. So it's a strong card. And you said it had 270 life?
It does.
That just seems crazy high. Because of, I don't know if it's like my memory being jolted with like Slowpoke and all these other cards, but I can't remember for the life of me any of what their abilities were, how strong they were. But based off of that, it makes me, I want to say that 130 is just like too much, and 50, it almost seems right. I'm just stuck on those 2 numbers. You know what? Gosh, I don't have a coin to flip. I'm sorry, I can't play Pokemon. No, okay, let me just, I'm going to go with C, final answer.
So the Beaver looks unimpressed, as the answer was D,
Oh,
130 points. It's just a really strong card. That's why it's worth 2 prize cards.
Okay.
And it's actually the same type as our Frostlass. God, it's just terrifying knowing what that is now. Or what it does, rather. But the Frostlass, it's Frostable. It was the same cost, and it was 140 damage. So sometimes those cards are just, that's like the power scaling of these puppies, man. It's just wild.
Wow.
But we have one more question to go.
All right.
And that is, what is the quantity of this card in Gem Mint? Is it A, 1 to 10, B, 11 to 50, C, 51 to 500, or D, more than 500?
I had 102 in my mind, so I'm locking in with C, final answer. Come on, Michael. Come on, Jen.
The beaver reaches into his plaid jacket and he hands you a strange smelling cigarette. And he tells you got it right. So you got 25 points, man. Congratulations. The Beaver then informs you there is one more challenging question. Now, I'm going to tell you, because now that you've gotten that one question right, if you get this challenge question correct, you win your prize.
Whoa. If I get it wrong.
If you get it wrong, you'll have half of the points that you've earned, so 25 divided in half. I think I rounded up last time
Oh,
egregiously,
cool.
so I think I gave you
I needed
15
it.
points.
I needed that 50. That 50.
Um, yeah, and then so you'll be a little closer, and you can keep chipping away, but you're pretty close here now. And the challenge question will remain 110 points. So I guess if you get this wrong, you'll have to get one more multiple choice question and the challenge question, or a bunch of the multiple choice. But
Let's
today we're gonna go
go.
back to Slow King's Wise Headbutt. It was 2 energy and 130 damage. And it also comes with an ability. And it says, you may search your deck for up to X cards and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. The question is, what is X? How many cards? So I'll read it one more time. You may search your deck for up to X cards and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck.
Okay. The last time he did one of these, it was like pull 6 or like look at the top 6 cards of your library, which seemed outrageous to me. But this putting them in your hand and keeping them there, 3 just sounds like a little bit too much to me. But it is like an ability of a card. So if you were to do this ability, you would not then be able to attack on that turn.
No, the ability is in addition to 130 damage.
Oh, it's in addition to that one. Oh. Okay. Well, that doesn't really help me, but maybe it does. I am going to choose between 2 or 3 and actually choose one or the other. And I think this is going to be a toss-up again. I'm going to go with, I think 2 sounds like the right number. That just sounds fairly good. I'm going to go with 2 final.
The beaver stares at you for just a moment before exploding into a cloud of blue smoke, and the djinn rises up before you in an outrageous chuckle. He takes you, he hugs you in his arm, and you shoot off into space. Kevin, congratulations. The Djinn Sejam has reached maximum satisfaction. And with that, you earn 110 points. The answer was 2.
All right.
And you finished our first ever Sejam satisfaction.
Wow. Gosh,
Yeah,
I can't believe that he was there with me the whole entire time. I thought this beaver was just gonna just walk me away, or just walk away and just leave me there in this enchanted forest, underwater and confused.
I totally thought you were gonna get the second multiple choice, because I left them such a big gap, and then you got the quantity right, which is like an absolute toss-up. But
Yeah.
Good deduction on the moves. You're learning your Pokemon cards a little here.
Thank you. Yeah, they're fun. I enjoy them.
I'm gonna. This is like kind of closing the page in a book. It's been 10 podcasts for us,
Yes.
but now that you've won a prize, I'm gonna look back and see if I can, like, what good I can take from what I've done working on this and trying different things, and see if I can get it a little better. Like, even today, I feel like I was, I don't know, like stuttering over words, and I think it's about how I have it set up and prepared. So maybe there's a different format that'll make it easier for me to read and proceed through, and maybe, polishing up, make it a little more cohesive for listeners. Ideally, like, making it so when through every part of the segment, if you're a new listener or an old one, you know what's happening and what the points are. But hopefully it was fun for you and fun for the listener for this first ever completion. And I'll be getting your address and shipping you out a pretty cool card, man. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited for it. So it'll be revealed once I receive it. Will that be what will happen then? I'll be able to bring it up on air then.
I'm gonna pack it up and ship it to you, and I'm gonna have you wait.
Okay.
And open it on air.
Suspense will be only building. Well, that was a lot of fun.
But yeah, it's gonna blow your mind, I think.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I
Yeah.
If it has anything to do with PSA grading
I'm-
and cards.
I'm gonna
My goodness.
I'm gonna put it away so I don't spoil it. You almost got me. I don't know what I would have done. I imagine you would have gotten it, but I'm glad you earned it without having to like get points via my mistake. But when you were asking about the cards and you were like, yeah, the other episode it was 6 cards, which I'm impressed you remembered. But then I almost was like, yeah, and in this one you can draw any two. I almost gave you the answer because I was just like thinking it out with you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at it right in front of you, so you're like, well, let me just tell you. Well,
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. I almost was like, yeah, this is just 2, but thank God, because you earned it. You got it.
Well,
I thought that was a tough one,
it was. The way that you painted the scene, I couldn't even think about, like, oh my gosh, the otter, I guess it was, right? A beaver. The stone diamond beaver. I was so worried about what the Sejin was going to do to me. I was like just fearing for my soul at that point. So then like, all right, which of these figurines do you want to choose? I'm like, oh,
So
wait a second.
I think
I'm okay.
that's
right now?
one thing I'm gonna work on, like to change, like for this version, right? I change it for every one, but I wanted to do horror, and I want it to be like horrific, but maybe not. I don't know if I want the concept to be horrific or if I want the verbiage to be horrific. Because last time, I just mentioned blood and salmon and tearing and like I guess I didn't really decide. I don't know exactly what I want that to be. And also, it's a trading card game, so like that's what we talk about. So it's like all of a sudden these people might not have wanted to sign up for this like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this one, it was gonna be. I had the concept of that because it was a voodoo doll in the shape of a tree, and it was going to be trees that were somehow making paper and paper products out of human beings, and like like the roles were reversed.
Whoa.
But I think I want to do like horror concepts without being so gruesome. Like, you know what I mean? I want you to be able to listen with your 12-year-old and it'd be like, ooh, that's horrifying, but not something you have to turn off, if that makes sense.
We'll take some inspiration from Duskborn as you continue to open up packs. And also, it sounds like Sorcery has set you up for success with their new set that's, incorporating these skeleton knight horror beasts. I'm sure there's more inspiration from there. And it'll be fun. I mean, a takeaway from this also that I really enjoy is the fact that at the end of the day, we're each learning about the card game that we have more to learn in. So it's really fun to take away from this actually learning about these cards in Pokemon or any of these actual other sets. Even the Dragon, Yu-Gi-Oh! That one time. Was it Dragon? Yeah, there was a Dragon Ball. Man, we've done a lot of these. I'll have to go back and binge myself on our podcasts. But yeah, what a blast. And it'll be fun to incorporate some new segment or like we were talking about, maybe some sort of news blurb just to get some information out there to everybody and keep it fun, lighthearted, and keep the machine moving.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm going to end this segment with you blasting off into space with a very satisfied genie.
Awesome. Well, he's become a dear friend, if I could say so myself. And thank you for the introduction and for the now wonderful wait here as we tick down the days for the next podcast. And maybe by then, this card will have arrived. But until then, we wish you all the best for joining us and have a lovely start to the new year. We will catch you all next time.